Hello everyone, what's up? How are you? Leviathan News. It's Wednesday, May 8th, 2024, and I'm honored to be on with one of the people I've been most excited to have on for a long while, even before I knew who he was, to be honest. The Honorable Draper, crypto's shadowy supermarketer. How are you, sir?
Thank you. What an intro. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you too. Thanks for having me on.
Really excited to have you on. Man, let me tell you. I told you a bit about it earlier, but I want the audience to know as well. Like, when I first started noticing the marketing done by Yearn, like, it was probably over a year ago or even more, I was like, what is even going on? Like, who does that? But at first I was like, I didn't take it too seriously. And then, like, after a while, I started realizing that, okay, this is a recurring thing. Like, they just do it better. Like, and I'm gentle when I say you guys do it better. Okay, because I really think that you guys are setting a bar that most industry is still not even realizing they should follow. And we did want to just like maybe try to open with this one. I didn't even know this one, but Draper told me that this could be a good one to start with. One of the earlier videos that you made for Yearn, you say.
Yeah, so actually that was one of the videos I think we made in my first few months at Yearn. VYP had been something that I think had been being delayed for a really long time.
Yeah.
And, we tried to lean into that and have some fun with ourselves.
Man, I think you did a very good job at it. Let's say that. So, Draper, let's take it back a bit, because there really are a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. But first of all, I kind of want to get the kind like even like a kind of an idea of like, how did you even start with crypto, and probably even before that, like, where did you learn to do everything you do? Because this is not exactly like the amateur guy deciding to do like a little video. This is someone, with all due respect, that does it like, it's obvious that you do it in a professional way. And I'm very curious about okay, what's your background? What did you used to do before crypto? And maybe after you share a bit about that, you can also get into, okay, so how did you even got involved with crypto to begin with?
Sure, yeah, happy to talk about it. So I had quite a traditional kind of background in I guess what we could call traditional advertising. I graduated from university, kind of had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and sort of fell into advertising as a creative and a copywriter. The guys in the creative department who are coming up with ideas for ads and ideas for campaigns. And I started at an agency in London called Saatchi & Saatchi, which is quite a big agency over here in the UK. And I worked there for about 6 years on lots of big kind of UK-based brands and also some global brands. And one of the campaigns I worked on ended up doing very well at the kind of industry award shows, which the advertising industry takes very seriously themselves, but has no kind of nothing beyond the ad industry. And after that, I was offered the chance to join BBDO in New York, which I believe at the time was the world's biggest ad agency. So
Wow.
it had always been a dream of mine, actually, to live in America. So
What's
I
their
kind of
name, by
jumped.
the way, again? What's their name, that agency again?
BBDO. They all have,
BBDO?
yeah. They all have kind of, will often have these acronyms as names. But yeah, so I was very excited about that opportunity, and so I moved to New York. I joined this agency. The budgets got bigger, the clients got bigger, the pressure got bigger. It was an exciting time, and I think on paper I was having the kind of stereotypical kind of like going up the career ladder, and everything in my life was kind of set in a very predictable way. And I had always been into crypto since about 2017, just as a kind of like retail speculator, hobby interest. But I was there working in New York over the pandemic, and we all started working from home, and that kind of coincided with like both DeFi summer and then later NFT summer, and I got super into NFTs, and I got kind of my interest in crypto went from kind of like a hobby level to staying up very late at night and kind of ignoring my day job often. And so I kind of made the decision that even though my career was like going great, and I just a few years ago moved countries to take this big new job, I just decided it wasn't really fulfilling me in the way that crypto was, and I resigned from BBDO and
Wow.
joined Yearn, and kind of the rest I'm happy to talk about, but that was the pivot point for me.
It's a big move. It seems like it sounds like you went with your heart, or whatever you called it.
100%. I think a lot of my friends and colleagues were pretty surprised to see it, especially as crypto still has this kind of sort of shade. Well, I wouldn't say shady reputation, but kind of like a not a serious industry, I think. And this was in 2021, so even more so then.
I wonder why they think that. I wonder why.
yeah, a total mystery.
Yeah, weirdos out there.
But yeah, no, when I told the head of the agency that I was leaving to kind of join this DAO where I'm going to use a fake name and never show my face, I think there was some eyebrows raised, but turns out to definitely be the best decision I've made, and can't really imagine if I hadn't made that decision, to be honest. It's been a real pleasure working in crypto.
So how long ago was that? And for example, like what kind of products did you used to do marketing for before that? Because like obviously you're already like telling us that okay, you really come from the marketing actual business and like at the higher level where it's played, not like the more like local or provincial or however you say it in English levels. So that's already like a change. But like I'm also kind of curious about like, so what did you use to market? Like what kind of products, if you can share it, or like I don't know if you can even talk about it.
Yeah, sure, no, happy to. So to answer your first question, I joined Yearn, I think, towards the end of 2021. And the brands I was working on before, I mean, it's interesting to hear you say like it's at the higher level, because I think I understand that the world probably sees it that way, but I think in terms of like what is more interesting, I think the kind of advertising and brand building that's being done in crypto is like infinitely more interesting than the kind of quote unquote traditional agency world where things feel a lot more stagnant and predictable. But yeah, at BBDO, I was creative director on the Bacardi account. So we were doing work on Bacardi rum itself, but also some of their other brands, such as Bombay Sapphire was the one I worked on a lot, the gin brand. But in my career, I've worked on all kinds of businesses. When I was at Saatchi's in London, I was doing a lot of work on HSBC. We have a big phone network over here in the UK called EE, which is part of, oh no, it's not anymore. Yeah, but I was doing a lot of work on them. So yeah, I mean, I think I've worked on a whole range. I mean, they're not super interesting to talk about because they're all sort of big corporate companies, you know.
Man, okay. So you say that when are you learning about crypto and then like deciding to make the move? And like, is it from a specific offer you're getting from Yearn? Like, how do they even know you, the team there? Maybe you said it and I didn't.
Oh yeah, that's kind of yeah, that could be a good story. So I first like got into crypto just in an interest way in 2017, and that was just trading altcoins, running up an account and losing it all in the 2018 bear market. But
2017, you're quite a crypto OG as well. Far more than me. Like I only entered the market in like DeFi summer 2020.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I was relatively early, but kind of I didn't have much money to put in at that time or anything, so it was kind of just
I can
yeah.
relate. I can relate.
So yeah, that was 2017, but I think my interest stayed very strong even through the 2018 2019 bear market. I was still on crypto Twitter every day and still trading kind of stuff on the side. But I think like it went to a next level for me when kind of the NFT scene took off. That was like a real kind of like, oh, I could see myself doing this professionally now. I think part of the reason of that was NFTs seem to like represent a more like consumer avenue within crypto, which previously had been either just like altcoin ICO focused or DeFi had started by then, which I always thought was super interesting, but I'm not really like a technical guy, and I'm definitely not like well versed in finance, so I never saw myself being able to contribute a huge amount to DeFi, which is ironic given what's happening now. But I saw NFTs being more in my world, let's say, which is like building brands, building kind of consumer brands that connect with people. So NFTs were a huge unlock for me, and trading them, joining different communities, getting kind of deep in Telegram and Discord was the kind of moment where I decided, like, yeah, I think my future is here, not in the kind of traditional advertising world. And then in terms of how I joined Yearn, so at that time, Yearn were talking to an agency in New York called Wolf Olins about some idea of maybe working together on some branding, on a big rebrand of Yearn. And my girlfriend works at Wolf Olins, and her friend was the guy kind of leading the process on the Wolf Olins side, talking with all the different Yearn contributors about their brand needs and what Wolf Olins could provide from a rebranding perspective. In the end, it didn't work out between Yearn and them that they were going to work together, but he ended up kind of doing some moonlighting for Yearn directly, and me and him were good friends, so he asked me like, hey, they might need some creative help as well, do you want to come in and kind of start contributing? So I was just spending like my weekends and evenings contributing at Yearn. I think at the time like Bantag was still kind of running the Twitter account himself, and I was working with Victor, who was a contributor at the time. And yeah, after a month or so of doing that, I just felt like, I can see myself doing this long term, and it was time to bite the bullet. And yeah, I was overemployed for a couple of months while I worked out my notice period with BBDO, but after that, yeah, just went all in on Yearn and all in on crypto.
Man, this is so cool to be and what an entrance. Like now when I'm thinking about it, it's insane. Like what an entrance for someone straight into one of the most exciting teams in DeFi at such an early stage. And you're actually describing that you weren't even like DeFi savvy or anything. You really come in from it. You really come into it from another place, which is like, okay, you have a specific talent, and they like inadvertently just find you, and but you all of a sudden you find yourself like in the eye of the storm in a way. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, yeah, I feel incredibly lucky to have landed at Yearn. I mean, like you said, like an incredible team, incredible contributors, and also like incredibly friendly, welcoming guys who were very patient with me, kind of like learning the ropes of DeFi. And yeah, I mean, I knew nothing about DeFi when I joined. But I think like one thing I'm glad of my background is I think advertising does a good job of training you to respond really well to different businesses and different industries, because on any given week you could be working on a huge bank and then go into a shoe brand, and then next you're working on a cocktail company, you know, so you kind of learn to adapt to whatever's in front of you. And I think that served me well with learning DeFi. I mean, even now, 2 years later, I understand very little about the inner workings of DeFi, but I think I hopefully have learned enough by now to kind of get by day to day. But it's an incredibly complicated industry, at least from my perspective.
You know, in a way, I can. First of all, I relate. I can't even understand. I can't even explain how much I can relate to a lot of what you're sharing here, minus the talent of editing stuff. But like, you know, with the humor that's on the videos, there's no way that you really don't know DeFi. You know what I mean? Because one of the things that you kind of have to do to make these videos so funny is you have to understand like the inner jokes. And I hope we're gonna soon in a few minutes start like showing a few, because I really think they are just hilarious. I think the audience is gonna love them, and I'm pretty sure that many people don't know all of these, because you guys really have already made quite a lot. But it's like, you know, it's exactly the fact that you not only know your profession of like editing and marketing in a very like professional way. I think it's also the fact that culturally you're connected to the industry in a way that makes it like possible for you to integrate both of these data sets, or whatever you want to call it. I have no idea how to express it in English. And voila, you know what I mean? It's that integration that makes it so funny.
Yes, I think, you know, when you said at the beginning of the podcast something like you know, you came from the proper industry, implying that kind of, you know, traditional advertising is the more serious one, which of course it is more serious. What I think is so fascinating about crypto, what we do here in crypto every day, is because it is such a small but growing industry, but more importantly, it's such an intimate industry, because we all congregate in the same place, which is crypto Twitter. Okay, sure, there's now Farcaster and FriendTech and, you know, some other places to congregate, but really it's crypto Twitter, and we all share in the same jokes, references. There's an incredibly strong culture, and so I think as any crypto brand looking to market to crypto natives, it's such a joy to be able to create content for an audience that truly loves the place they spend their time. And it might seem obvious to us, because, you know, I'm sure you're the same as me, like kind of spending far too much of your day on Twitter, but there's not really an equivalent of this, I think, back in the kind of Web 2 world, where you know, I spent many years working on Bacardi. There is no Bacardi community. That this isn't like a concept that exists. That there's a kind of like hardcore group of rum lovers who share memes, jokes, culture. It just doesn't exist. And so I think,
with anon names online, trying to talk to each other on 7 different apps, because 6 is not enough.
Exactly. So yeah, so for me, this is like the real joy of crypto is it's a community and it's a culture. And so as creatives in this space, trying to create kind of compelling content, I think that's what's a real pleasure to work with, because we see when we release our videos that there's a genuine reaction from people interacting with it, which is they love seeing their own world reflected back to them in marketing. I actually hate the term marketing, but yeah, I mean.
So how that's a good point. Like how should we call it then?
I mean, I think
a representation. Like, what is it? You're right, because it's not like go buy Yearn now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not marketing in in a cheap way, or I don't know how to call it. It is like it's more about culture. You know, it's more about like watching some, like just for example, I hope we will soon show the Wild West one, because I think it's really one of the all-time greats. And I think that what you guessed, what I felt when I watched it for the first time was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, Yearn is cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's the actual message I think you get from like a video that's actually really like well done. And I really think you nailed quite a few of these. And by the way, whenever you want, we can try showing some.
Yeah, sure, of course, happy to. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's marketing implies there's like a drive to convert the audience into users, or there's some idea of like the viewer taking some action at the end. But I think, and of course, we would love everyone to use Yearn, of course. But I think like really the bigger opportunity is, and this is, I think, especially true for cryptid NATO brands, is to build a brand that reflects the people in this space and that they resonate with. And I think even before I joined Yearn, this was true of Yearn. I mean, Yearn has a great privilege to have been one of the OG DeFi protocols, to have been in those early days of DeFi summer. I mean, that can never be replicated. So they have a kind of an origin story that is a real advantage to them, and is a great honor to be able to work with a brand like that.
Listen, there are a bunch of smart people. Let me tell you, even when I was a complete noob in crypto, Yearn was already like very early on, since I know crypto, at least with the DeFi summer, Yearn was already established as a place that, even regardless of the token itself or the price and whatever, it was clear when you started following crypto Twitter, it was clear that the Yearn team is a team that's getting a lot of respect from people in the industry. Even that back then, I didn't even really know like 99% of the characters involved in the industry, but like I could see it on my feed and my time. Like I even remember some sentences that I won't say who specifically said it, but he talked about like two teams in DeFi like as being the best teams out there, and Yearn was one of the teams that he referred to. And this is a very like known and major character in the DeFi landscape. And today, when I know a bit more of these people and get to thankfully talk to them a bit, let me tell you, this is a bunch of smart people. And by the way, transparency. I'm a tiny investor, but one of my most important position is my YCRV position as ST, maybe positions actually, but really tiny yet, or for now. I mean, I use STYCRV, and for me personally, with all due respect to a lot of interesting solutions out there, it's my favorite CRV wrapper at the moment. If I'm honest, I really, really like it, and I really like some of the people involved, at least those who I get to know, some, and at least one of them I really know. And but really, I think that Yearn has a way with you and whoever is working on that, of complementing their tech in a way that I think most DeFi projects are still very far from, with all due respect. Like, I think you have this specific strong suit of marketing that at least for now, I'm not seeing anyone, like as we say in crypto, there is no second best currently. Maybe one day, but currently I'm not seeing it. And don't take my word for it. Maybe we should show people some of your work, Draper, at least try. I hope it will work like in the intro.
Sure, happy to.
Okay, which one should we start with?
Oh, I can't remember which ones I sent you now. Let me get our chat up.
Let's go. Maybe even one of the early ones with the there's one with we have to show this one. There's one Korn sent me with the meme coins.
I don't know which one you're referring to.
Yeah, you will like it. Let me try making it work, and I really think you will. It's a very recent one, relatively. He sent it to me like a month ago or something. Let's see if I just a second, guys. Apologize. Okay, just a minute.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm starting it.
The best risk-adjusted yields in crypto.
To me, when I hear yield, I think of boomer.
You guys will have the choice between two different designs. This is design 1, and this is design 2. So who here supports design 1?
Nobody.
Okay, so you're all for design 2.
We don't want either one.
You don't like Aave Lender? Tell me about your dream vault.
There is no dream vault. And we don't want a vault. Vault, as soon as you said vault, you ruined it.
Oh, no. Hey, I didn't imply anybody here is retarded? Costa.
I am. I got my life savings in Bowdoin.
I understand exactly why there was told no 100Xs here.
Let me show you how your portfolio will look like.
Oh, hell, you're fucking kidding me, right? There ain't a goddamn thing about that we like.
Man. Man.
Did I lose your audio? Oh no, there you are.
No. It just takes me a while to figure out which window to close first, but I hope people heard it already. Man, like this is a good example of a video that, like, listen, if you're not deep into the crypto culture, there is no way, even if you have the talent or a lot more talent than that, you just can't make this kind of video unless you know the industry. So maybe like tell me a bit, like, did you personally make this one or your team? Like, how does it work? How do you even start with something like that? How does it come up?
So yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things we could talk about there. I think one thing that I really like about these kind of films is that when you think about a traditional brand, like the thing you can almost guarantee that like 99.9% of like big brands will never do is anything that like could portray them in a negative light. And so we all grow up in a world where we think of brands being kind of like, they always have to show their best face, they always have to be relentlessly positive and optimistic and kind of perfect, to be honest. And I think this is like a real shame, because actually humans form like a much stronger bond when someone is like actually a little bit like vulnerable or like self-deprecating or shows that they don't consider themselves perfect. And so, you know, with a video like that where we're basically making fun of ourselves for being kind of this like boomer yield protocol in a world of meme coin mania, I think, I mean, I'm hoping people like the jokes too, but I think like really that the reason it seems to resonate with people is because we're being honest about ourselves. Like exactly. compared to like the 10,000x gains you can get on a meme coin, like Yearn kind of is boomer. So yeah, I always see that as an advantage we can have in building crypto brands, which is like there's this permission to like I think like the best crypto brands should be like the best crypto posters, and I think the best like shit posters on crypto Twitter are definitely able to like laugh at themselves and be self-deprecating and not take themselves too seriously. In fact, I think it's one of the prerequisites to being like a big beloved account. And so I don't think it should be different just because you're a protocol. So yeah, it's something we always try to do with our content, is to make fun of ourselves and not take ourselves too seriously. And it seems to resonate. You know, this even makes me lean even more into the view of like, it's all about culture. You know what I mean? Like it sounds. I'm trying to think of a word that's going to be politically correct enough. Like, it sounds corny in a way when you say, culture and it affects organizations and that stuff. But once you actually like do stuff and like work with people or try to like make an idea happen, and you do it for a long while and you try to assemble people, you have to have vision
and you have to through that vision and these values to actually when the vision and the values and the people that follow that vision and values come together for long enough a while, I think culture is created. And when a culture is good enough, that's what actually creates achievements and progress, because culture is like a a big name for so many things that need to happen simultaneously in order for something to really be able to extract its potential.
Totally. And I think it's one of the reasons, I think back when I first discovered crypto in 2017, all my friends and my family were telling me, after the bubble popped, that huge run up to 20K, and then it crashed down to 3K over the next year or two. It really looked like the bubble had popped. And I think, crypto is the only kind of asset, I think, that's gone through these multiple huge bubbles, huge crashes, and yet didn't die. No other bubble really has worked like that. And I think it's partly because there's an incredibly resilient community that is not going anywhere just because price is down 95%. In fact, it seems to entrench them more. And so I think this culture is very much tied actually to how crypto is being built and the resiliency of the industry to survive things. A lot of people didn't need crypto to survive.
Yeah, I think that also it's because the industry, it still is, even if we see it grow and grow and grow, when you really look through a farther lens, the industry is still so tiny, man. In actual financial terms, the industry is still basically non-existent in a way. I'm not saying to that. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but a market cap of $1 trillion and something in the real world of finance out there, it's not something very noticeable yet.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So I think obviously it attracts unique investors, even if we grow and grow. And yeah, I think that also you had a very good point there about the fact that I think the younger a market is, the more volatile it probably is, because assets are in a kind of a price discovery always. Yet the shorter the life of the asset, the price discovery is even in a more aggressive kind of a process. And I actually think that for us, volatility is key here. Just for example, I'm a tiny investor. The tinier investor you are, the more volatility in a way you should seek, because what exactly can I do with low volatility? You know what I mean? If I get 20% out of my money, that's not my real opportunity. That's an opportunity for someone who actually has a lot of capital, so he wants to protect it and defend it. So he will. And by the way, I'm sure that for example, in a way, Yearn's products are for people who are looking for, just like we showed on the video, they're looking for lower levels of volatility still compared to TradFi, huge levels of volatility maybe, and of APYs and all that. But relative to the crypto scene, it's okay, you have you have a lot more interest in a DApp like Wi-Fi. I mean, Yearn, if you come with a few more digits in your wallet.
For sure. I think, I mean, maybe a slight alpha leak here. I think, Yearn has a great reputation for kind of how thorough the devs are. I think that they have an incredibly strong security record. And so, yes, I think the current protocol is mostly used by kind of, high net worth whales or other protocols or other DAOs. And I think partially the kind of current Yearn UIs, for example, are built for that audience. They're very feature rich, data heavy. They're kind of complicated, I think, for the average person. But I think there's now a new class of entrant into crypto who they come. They're maybe doing some SocialFi stuff, or they bought a couple NFTs, or they've just they're meme coining. And I'm sure these kind of people would be interested in, if you're up 10x on a meme coin and you sell some to die or something, putting that you don't want to pull those funds out of crypto necessarily, and so an attractive risk-adjusted yield could be of interest to them. But I don't think in their current form, even if they saw some of our marketing, it's actually quite hard to convert that kind of user into a Yearn user with how the protocol currently is. And so I think one of the things we're working on behind the scenes at the moment is a different kind of UI into Yearn, which speaks much more to an audience that's comfortable with Uniswap. So they definitely know how to do crypto things, but they're not comfortable enough to use Yearn, which I think has an intimidating UI. So it's something we're hoping to release in the next few months, and we'll see if it can attract a new kind of user to Yearn. It's going to have its own brand, but it's definitely going to be powered by Yearn and be very clear.
It's going to be a separate brand.
Yeah, it's going to be a separate brand. Yeah.
Wow, this is so cool, man. I didn't even expect this kind of alpha, and it's quite exciting, actually. And folks, he means us mid-curvers. He's saying it with very polite words, but
I put myself
finally
we
we can
in that group as well.
Yeah, for sure. But but you still are polite about it. But I can just give it my view of things that folks, we're gonna have something interesting as mid-curves. Maybe we will also understand some of the stuff that's possible to do with Yearn, or maybe not even understand them, but be able to use them anyway, which is kind of what I think many of us prefer. Anyway.
Yeah, totally. I think it's interesting how I think we've been in an era where there's been lots of development done on different UIs for different protocols. But one thing I'm excited about at the moment, I can give a shout out to Poolpy, who's one of the Yearn devs who's building. Oh, your friend?
No, not really friends, but I don't know him that much, but I know his account for long ago. You know how I discovered about him?
No, tell me.
Long ago, Andre put out a tweet when Poolpy, I'm talking years ago, and he said something like, that's a very smart octopus, or something like that. And really 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, okay, I should know this guy. And only recently I realized that he's actually very deep into he's a part of the Yearn team, and what a pro.
Total pro, and he's also building something super interesting, which he's been tweeting about a few times, which is a kind of a card built on Gnosis, but integrates kind of Yearn vaults and a bit of Ajna tech as well. Wow. And I think what's super cool about that is when you think about a way into a Yearn vault, by default you're thinking about a browser-based UI that you're going to use kind of on your main computer, but actually it's super cool to see new use cases that totally abstract even away the need to have just a static UI for Yearn, because sure, if you're having funds on a card that you're spending for your day-to-day living, but the capital behind that card is sitting in a Yearn vault earning you yield, it can be great. And I think
it's insane. It's insane, man. When I talk to normies, the only thing they really care about is okay, but can I make it back to how quickly can I take it back to my usual money, to my usual shekels and dollars? It's they're so deep into the usual system, and they only believe the usual system as something that gives them actual confidence, maybe because of that volatility that we mentioned earlier. And I think that when you change your mindset, the deeper you get into crypto, you're oh my God, I have to have every one of my shekels on crypto, no matter what. You know what I mean? Because just it's opposite mindset. One mindset is telling you to no, let me just keep all my money in TradFi, and that's the only thing that the cashier is gonna get, and that's only that way. These people are calm in a way still, and I think for many of us, it's exactly the other way around. oh my God, I'm not self-custody in something. What am I even doing? You know why? Like, I'm gonna have like better opportunities and be safer. So like, what is even happening? You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think like, I mean, it's been talked about a lot, but I think like it's nice to see that like people are starting to build stuff that actually offers like utility outside of just the crypto kind of
So
ecosystem.
important, man.
Super important,
So
and I think it will really start to show the power of crypto, because even if you think about your traditional bank card, the accounts are so segregated. You have like your checking account and your saving account, and like maybe your saving account it's giving you a few % of interest, but you have to like often that has to be like locked for a certain period. I mean, depends what kind of bank you're with, but like transferring it from one to the other is like a huge pain in the ass. So something that kind of has some automation where your funds are sitting earning yield, and whenever you want to spend, it's doing some conversion and allowing you to spend. I mean, there's even, depending on how much capital you have, there's even a world where the card is essentially free, because if your monthly budget is less than the yield being generated by the card, you're basically spending for free. So there's all kinds of cool stuff, and I'm super excited to see where Poolpy takes it.
Man, same. And I really think that you're touching the exact point there. Like, it's all about like give me the power to actually use it. Give me the power, by the way, to show the normies that while they keep talking to me about how do they offboard, I'm like telling them, no, we will never offboard. That's what you need to realize. There is no offboarding. You know what I mean? And I think that this is such a crucial part of how we grow as an industry. Like, this is one of the biggest bottlenecks out there. Once you actually show people that you don't need to offboard to use their money, the perception of crypto as actual money within the actual public will completely change, in my opinion. And credit cards and stuff like that are exactly that. Like, for example, I live in Israel, and I've been trying to get like a card that works here for a long while. A friend actually told me about an option that I haven't checked yet that I think is gonna work. But I would also like want to see like the bigger players start doing this more often and also more worldwide. Although I can understand like why they don't really care about it that much, because other markets are not as big as like the most important thing is obviously to get into the big markets. And when you're in the big markets, naturally will reach the smaller markets at some point. At least a lot of them.
Totally agree.
And you're working with Poolpy on his project as well, with what? Because I want to now to soon not get into you, God forbid, but like get into some of the other stuff that you do, because you don't just only work with Yearn these days, of course.
Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about Mum. So I can give kind of I guess the background on that. So I joined Yearn. Oh yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. I will just look for the Mum's account on X for now. I want to show it for people that they can follow it.
It's built_by_mum.
Yes, I found it. Great. Go ahead, Draper. Didn't mean to cut you down.
No, all good. So I joined Yearn a couple of years ago, and found myself working kind of, obviously building out a kind of marketing team there, creative team there, but also working a lot with the kind of front end team. Like I think initially I was just helping them write kind of UI copy, but having never really done any product work in my life, I actually like discovered that I really enjoyed that. So I sort of forced myself a bit on the poor front end guys to kind of work with them and try to do whatever I could as like a relative normie as well, to like give a kind of normie perspective on some of the kind of UX stuff we were working on at the time. And so over the course of a couple of years, these two teams, the kind of marketing creative team and the front end team, sort of became one team, and we were just working together every day. And so we basically continue to be core contributors at Yearn, but Mum has also kind of become its own thing, where we're also working with other projects within DeFi and within the space, on both marketing, brand and front end stuff. And so
Okay,
we
so-
like to. Oh yeah, sorry, please go.
No, just so I make it clear, because I want to be sure that I understand what Built by Mom is. Like, so it's like a studio that works with projects on marketing, or
Yeah, I would say it's a studio that works with mainly DeFi, but doesn't have to be exclusively DeFi, but currently mainly DeFi projects on a range of stuff from marketing and brand to front end and product development. And we also kind of build our own products too. So Small DApp is one that maybe a few people have heard of. That's a product we built ourselves, and just a kind of little side. Well, it started as a side thing where we're trying to build it a bit more professionally now. But
okay, you want to talk about Small DApp first? Maybe we show it a bit, like however you want. We can show.
Yeah, sure. So we actually recently launched a V2. Maybe you could bring up the.
Yeah, just a second. So this is actually something that you say that you guys have like from the mom team has started working on, and it's became like a bigger and bigger thing.
Basically. Yeah, so our kind of lead dev Major started Small as a kind of, I think he actually started it to solve some of his own pain points. So I don't. Yeah,
it's the best way. Like when a dev builds something that he just needs to use it himself, usually the best products come out of it, in my opinion.
Exactly. So he was building stuff that he needed kind of for himself, or would make it useful for himself. And I think people, yeah, exactly like you say, other people were starting to come and be like, oh, this is actually useful for me too. And we were seeing there are a couple of apps that we built that we're seeing kind of more usage. A big one that people seem to like is Disperse, which is actually built on Bantag's like original Disperse smart contract. It's just a UI for that, really. But we also built MultiSafe, which is a way to spin up a Gnosis safe on different chains, but keep the same address, because we were seeing even like big actors in the space were assuming that their Gnosis safe address would be the same on different chains. And I mean, maybe you remember when Wintermute lost a lot of money by sending funds to the wrong Optimism address because their safe address wasn't the same on Optimism. So yeah, Major built out a way to deploy safes on multiple chains and keep the same address, which is super cool, and something you can't even do directly through Gnosis. Well, definitely not through the UI. Maybe if you
had no idea that this could even happen. I thought, by the way, that if you have an address on a specific chain, even if it's a multi-sig, I thought that it will be like the same no matter what chain you're on.
Yeah, exactly. So this is exactly what most people think, and myself included, but not the case for safes. They don't work like EOAs. I can't tell you why, but yeah. So Small kind of started life, yes, as this little kind of side project. But we were seeing that people were really like using it, and so we kind of decided, hey, maybe we should kind of like make it proper. And so yeah, this V2 is a kind of a new direction for us, where we're trying to now actually build almost like a hub for your common crypto tasks. So everything at the moment is built around the address book, because I think this is another thing too. Like you're seeing a lot of like address poison via Etherscan, and there's not actually like a great way to just have like a locally saved address book that integrates with like all the other functions you might want to do within crypto. So like send or disperse here, like you will very.
By the way, Disperse is like sending funds to multiple places at the same time, like bridging to several chains together or something like that. Like, I'm not sure.
No, more like if you have 10,000 DAI and you want to send 1,000 DAI each to 10 different people, you can just do that in one transaction rather than make 10 transactions to do it. So,
but on the same chain, like you mean?
On the same chain, yes. But we are coming out with a cross-chain swap, and our Send app, I think, is cross-chain as well.
Man, this is so.
So yeah, so Small has now kind of become a brand, I think, about making crypto easier for people while still being kind of like plugged into DeFi. Like we probably can't compete with some of these like more centralized wallet apps or something, but I think like if we build enough DeFi composability into it, then that can be an advantage to Small.
Well, I think you're in a good position to maybe be able to do it because of the people involved and your connections.
I hope so.
I'm looking forward to it. And by the way, this is so who are like the users of small DApp? Like it's probably more like retail oriented than others, or not necessarily.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's still more other devs working in crypto, or people like we see a lot of like repeat users. So there'll be people who come to pay their project salary, every month using Disperse.
Nice.
So yeah, I think it's used more probably by crypto people at the moment, but I think like the end goal is to build something that bridges the gap between like total retail people who probably like might never come off Coinbase, but those people who come and they're comfortable using MetaMask or using Uniswap, that's probably the sweet spot for small in the near term.
Man, I think it's a very important bottleneck that you guys are touching on there, and honestly looking forward to how you guys will affect it, because like I mentioned earlier, I think there are some pretty minor UI and UX changes that if the industry would have already had, adoption would have been significantly higher in a way. I'm not saying that it's very simple or that it will happen in a minute or whatever, but I think for a lot more people than many devs understand, it's all about the fact that the UI and UX is too much for them.
I mean, working on small has been great because it's an eye opener to like some of the challenges building in crypto. And I think like the UX hurdles that everyone faces is not just due to like a laziness or people don't want to solve these things. I think they're like, inherently difficult problems to solve. And so even when we're building the send app on small, you immediately run into kind of obstacles, which is like, should the app allow you to send to any address, and just it's if you input the address and you send funds to it, the app should have no opinion on that. Or should the app try to warn you sometimes, hey, it looks like you're sending this to a smart contract wallet, like do you know if that smart contract wallet definitely has the same address on the chain you're trying to send it to? Straight away there you have some kind of friction of like how hands-on or hands-off should the app be. Like, is it going to be annoying to users to have a warning, or is it going to be annoying to users not to have a warning? And so there's all kinds of these kind of like weirdly specific UX problems that at every step of the way seem to rear their head and don't have an obvious solution. So I'm hoping some of the kind of like newer EIPs and stuff around account abstraction and all this kind of thing can help a bit there. I won't LARP and pretend I know enough about it to really comment, but I do think like that when we are able to improve UX, that's going to be like a huge step forward for the kind of stuff that can be built. And more importantly, I think if we are trying to onboard people from outside crypto into crypto, stuff has to be like 10x better than what it is in Web 2. It can't just be like a tiny bit better, because you can't convert people like that. It has to be dramatically better. And so I think crypto can already offer dramatically better stuff, but the UX is so unwieldy that it's very hard to convince anyone of that who hasn't already kind of made that trudge through the mud to get here.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a long process, and I think that there's so much to do and to grow horizontally that there are so many different places that devs can go and work on instead of like just specific the issue of UI UX, which in a way I think is not necessarily the sexiest in the industry, because I think that at least like, and again, I know nothing about this kind of stuff, but like if I were a dev, maybe I think they say in English, I would like there's something just more like sexy and attractive with like being the one who's doing the smart contract and finding like a new financial way to do stuff to be appreciated by the elite users. it's still more sexy than, okay, this one, this project has just unlocked the way to onboard. Like, it's a kind of like, the glory is in one place, but the actual like most important part in a way to actually grow the industry is not necessarily where most of the obvious glory is. I don't know if it makes sense, but at least that's how I see it in a way.
No, totally. I think I don't know if you follow Bantag on Twitter, but like it's been cool to see he's been doing a ton of stuff actually the last couple of weeks, exploring like more front end work. You know, I think classically people would think of him as very much like a smart contract dev, but
Yeah.
he's doing some really cool like innovative stuff. And I think exactly like you say, there's I think there was a kind of maybe a preconception that like, oh yeah, if you're a protocol developer, this is the serious stuff, and if you're a front end developer, yeah, you're just making stuff look nice. But actually, they're both incredibly important if this industry is going to grow. And I think having more smart people looking at front end is great.
Exactly. Also, it's about like making a lot of the steps unnecessary, because I think whoever is going to be creative enough to be able to like communicate what they build on a smart contract and make it easy to use on the front end, like this should be more connected than it seems, because you know there is a layer of the top users. They don't even need like front ends. You know, to be honest, like yesterday we talked on the A team, another venture, which is like the media outlet for Aladdin DAO. We had Token Bryce on. He was also here on the show several times on Leviathan. And he's working with the DeFi collective, and a lot of what they do is like decentralizing front ends, which is not necessarily the most sexy thing, but I actually think it's kind of important, because most users, like, we need the front end. Like, guys, not every one of us can just say, they banned the front end, I don't care, I just go to Etherscan and do this with. Like, most of us don't know how to do it, and if we really want to like onboard a lot of people, we have to like be able to give them like the proper and easy way to do it. Otherwise, it's too easy for them to just keep their money in a bank.
I think one of the great things that has come from the kind of meme coin mania on Solana is I've seen like a renewed focus in the Ethereum ecosystem on UX. And I think, you know, perhaps Ethereum kind of having no real challenges in the past few years has led to a kind of a state of complacency. And I think, you know, watching Solana blossom and kind of attract a lot of retail users who like it because it's super easy to use has been like a really healthy thing, I think, actually, for the Ethereum ecosystem. And it's great to see kind of like devs innovating on new stuff in response to that. I think it's like it's a great thing to see.
I agree. Let's take it back a bit to Mom Studio. So, but with most of what you do these days, like I know that you work with Yearn, and I know you work with Ajna, and now you mentioned Small Dap as well. Is it all like done through Mom Studio, or is Mom Studio only for like some of these, and like maybe you can share about some of the other stuff that you do on Mom Studio, and the people and the people or protocol that you work with, or the kinds of services that you provide, so that people can know how to approach you, or about what, to be more exact.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we have struggled actually to find a great way to describe ourselves, and I think it's a symptom of kind of like doing a bunch of stuff and not really knowing the best thing to shine our spotlight on. But when you ask how is everything done, I'm guessing what you mean is like, well, like I think like the way I would phrase it is DeFi kind of like presents interesting ways in which like protocols have different, like if you're a DAO, let's take a traditional company and its marketing needs. If we just start there, I mean, we could talk about front end too, but let's start with marketing. you would have like an internal team who were responsible for setting up a marketing strategy and hiring a creative agency and then working every day with that creative agency. And there's like a very clear separation between the internal team, who we could call the client team, and the agency, who are like the service provider. And this is the way it like works in Web 2 and before. I think lots of crypto companies still work like that. They will have an internal marketing team. They will work with agencies or different freelancers, maybe on services. But really, if you think about like what a truly decentralized project needs, it doesn't really make sense to have a internal marketing team and an external agency when we're living in this like composable world where what we're trying to build with Mum is you can plug that creative department straight into your protocol. So there is no Yearn client team and Yearn agency. There is just Mum, which is kind of, you could say, sitting on both sides of the fence, but it's autonomously creating the marketing strategy, creating the creative content, and publishing it. And so I think this is like a new kind of way that projects can work together, which I mean, I would say as well, we also work with some projects in a more traditional way. We recently helped Friendtech with their launch, and
wow, really?
That was that was a more traditional.
That's why it was so good. That's why it was so good. I thought it was because of Racer. Actually.
Oh yeah, I mean, Racer is the goat at tweeting. I could not.
Man,
we made a couple films.
You know what? He's like just to go like off topic for a second, but shout out Racer. Like no one does Twitter like this guy. Like honestly, I can't even think of one. Like maybe a few that can get close, but something about him is just different. Like he has a way of, recently they had like a tweet. They took the account private for like a few minutes or something like that. And he wrote, we took the account private, comment something extreme so that people will think they're missing out. He started getting so many reactions on the tweet, and it's like, it's so simple but so brilliant,
I think they're maybe the best Twitter account on crypto Twitter at the moment. It's amazing to watch. We didn't help at all with the Twitter stuff. Just a couple hype films for the launch. But yeah, I think what Racer does incredibly well, which is what we talked about earlier, is not take himself too seriously and not take Friendtech too seriously.
He's the master of it, right? He's the master of it in a way. And the audience like shows how much they love it. Like look at the amount of engagement on a Racer tweet relative to basically every other tweet. It's kind of insane, Maybe I think you've sent me the Friendtech one. I don't think I've even seen it myself. I will try to show it now. Okay, just a second.
Oh sure, yeah.
Just a second. Apologize, folks.
Well, just while you load it up, I could say I think you would be shocked how many people who manage social media accounts, their primary objective is to ruffle zero feathers, and actually, like it's 100% the wrong way to think about it, but it's quite pervasive actually.
So true. It's the exact other way around. Mm-hmm. But, at least on the engagement side of things, and I also think that what both you and Racer with his tweets do well, and that's maybe one of the reasons that it goes together so well. Like you understand that there's an aspect of entertainment here, and what people actually want when they are on Twitter, like us, like for 8 to 16 hours a day. It's like, okay, give me like something that really makes it fun to be here, which is actually why most of us are here all the time. Like we're being opportunistic, but we're also enjoying it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do it for so long. And I think that these accounts that actually provide like this like balance of, okay, they give you a lot of knowledge and like functionality, but and like relevant input and like opportunities, but they also give you entertainment, and that's what separates them for the others. And I think both you on like the visual side and video sides, or branding and whatever side of the things that you do, I think you do it brilliantly. And I think that Racer, just like you've said, he does it brilliantly with just like, he can write a tweet with like, I don't know, 12 words, and he's like, and I'm like, how does he do it? How does he do it? He really is the best. Okay, let's see this video. Let's try to activate it. Wait a minute. Did I go full screen here? Yes. Man, this is good. This is good.
So yeah, quite different from our other work, but you know, I think it like fits the brand really well, and felt like the right vibe for them.
I agree. And by the way, that's the whole point. Like, you don't want to have like the same things for different brands. You want to separate them, and you want to like match yourself to whoever wants your service. So for sure, you have to be diverse. Just like I don't know, like an actor that knows how to play a lot of different roles instead of just like a one-trick pony, or however you say that.
Totally. I think that makes the kind of crypto Twitter marketing meta very fun, because it's like always evolving. You know, I think I mean, not that we started the trend at all, but like I think we were early to the kind of remixing of scenes trend, and now they're kind of popping up everywhere, and it's great to see, because they're often very funny and really entertaining. But you know, I feel already in the back of my mind that like, this means we probably need to pivot soon with Yearn to a different kind of aesthetic, or a different kind of meme film style, because I think crypto Twitter is so online that like stuff can get old fast, and you always want to kind of keep stuff new and fresh for people to be entertained by.
Yeah, you have to know like what's happening at a specific time point to be able to talk about the subject and catch it and meme it, for example, and stuff like that, and joke about it while it's hot. It's so different than if you come like, I don't know, even 6 or 8 hours later. Just not the same.
Yeah, totally.
So for regarding MOM again, so like, for example, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that if you're a dev out there building a project, you have your smart contracts and your idea and your vision, and maybe you guys are already a small team, and there's a reasonable chance, at least from what I hear and talk about to people on like messages and stuff throughout the past year at least, like this is a very kind of common situation for a builder to be like, okay, they do the tech work, but often they have no idea on how to really start on some of the other stuff involved. An example is how to take care of like the official business side of things that people often should they set up this kind of entity or another, and how do they make sure that everything is like legal and safe for them, and how anon do they want to be, and that stuff. And also another angle that is often not the strong suit of the natural like online builder is about, okay, how do I actually make it to be a brand and I market it? Because often these are people who don't even like really want to do Twitter that much or anywhere else. Like they want to build the code. They don't care about that kind of stuff. So if I understand you correctly, the MOM Studio is a very good direction for them to explore.
I would hope so. I think like it could be interesting to talk about Ajna just for a second as an interesting example of quite an extreme example, I think.
Right.
So you know, the team that built that protocol had always had the plan that once they were building an immutable borrow-lend protocol that would not require a team to operate. The once deployed, the protocol should, touch wood, run forever immutably. And so the team that spent 2 years, a great team, lots of them ex-Maker, spent 2 years building Ajna, and always planned to totally dissolve the LLC that built the protocol, and none of the team that spent 2 years building it were going to continue working on it actively. And so with a team like that, who have this great commitment to decentralization, like an incredible commitment actually to decentralization, yes. How can they have marketing and branding and even front end? They had actually built a very feature complete front end, but suddenly that there's not going to be a team paying the server costs and then maintaining the front end and having bug fixes when inevitably there's bug fixes needed on the front end side of things, not the protocol side of things. So I think we've made a great match for each other, because this is something Mum can specialize in, which is we know how to operate and maintain DeFi front end, know how to autonomously market DeFi protocols. So I think the Ajna and Mum example is one I would hope to see more of in the future, as more projects decide, hey, maybe just full decentralization is a path forward for us, because there's always going to still be need after that moment decentralization goes. And so Ajna has a vibrant grants ecosystem. Mum can continue to fund its work through grants, assuming that future grants are approved, who knows. But it allows for a protocol to decide to decentralize but still have these essential functions like marketing and front end. So I think it's super interesting, and I'm hoping that we're at the start of something here with this kind of business model.
I think you have a very cool concept, and let me tell you, I personally am interested. That's for sure. I think you have I think you're addressing a very interesting bottleneck, which not many necessarily are addressing. And you offer a very interesting option, I think, for a specific group that is, my opinion, kind of common. Like people who the kind of things that you are talking about here are like a bottleneck for many interesting projects that really have no idea on how to even start. I think that many projects, we don't even hear about them ever, because they don't even know how to get to that point. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, I think that's what's so special about crypto in a way, is that a solo dev can start building something and then suddenly reach the point where they've had some level of success where they go, actually, maybe this needs to be more than just an Etherscan contract. Maybe we need to build a front end and have some marketing and build a brand. But the fact that even just one or two people can get a project to that point is super cool, and I think kind of unique to crypto.
But sometimes, sometimes you need that one piece that you don't always find. Like they can be like 3 or 4 people, extremely talented each in what they do. But for example, they can be in a situation where branding is now one of them, or marketing is now one of them. And they may be think of 3 or 4 top Gs doing something, but they just can't find that 5th OG. So they need it, you know what I mean? If you want to grow a plant to its fullest degree, or to have it reach its actual potential, you have to be you have to give it 100% of everything it needs. And if you give it 100% about almost everything, but on one aspect you give it 70%, the total of its potential will reach 70%, not 100%. And that's why I think that it's sometimes it's a huge difference, these things, because I'm sure that there are amazing products that have been built, but we do not hear about, because they're missing that specific piece, for example. So Draper, I know you really had to wrap up, although really I hope to talk to you again because I think we can go on for hours. I wanted to ask you a few more things, but I really appreciate your time, and it was really both fun and an honor for me and for us at Leviathan here to have you on. You've also earned yourself some squid points, by the way, for participation. It will probably take us a while to deliver these, but you should be on the list as well, and we should take your Ethereum address to get some. And for sure we'll want to talk to you again as soon as possible, let's say. But also I want you to just give you this last few moments to, I don't know, like, where should people follow you? What should they check you? How should they contact you guys at Built by Mom if they're interested and they want to explore something and reach out? What should they do?
Yeah, well, first thing to say, thank you so much for having me on. It's only actually the second podcast I've ever done, so yeah, a real pleasure for me, and thank you for making it happen. Yeah, in terms of if anyone is interested to discuss anything that we're doing at Mom or Yearn or Ajna or Small or anything else, I guess Twitter, yeah, built by Mom on Twitter is a great place, or you feel free to DM myself directly. I'm at draper_ox on Twitter.
Thank you very much, man. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Really enjoyed this one. Hope you learned something, and for sure reach out to Draper and the Built by Mom team if you're interested in some branding and you're looking for an interesting option. Probably the most interesting option in the space that I know about. And Draper, by the way, you can feel free to jump off. I think I'm going to try to show at least one or two more of your videos here that you've sent me, because I wanted those who are not familiar with them to see them, and maybe I will just enjoy viewing them again, actually. So feel free to hop off. We'll talk to you later. And again, thank you so much for your time. And man, I think you do amazing work, and which is entertaining and fun. And it's a big part of the DeFi culture and crypto Twitter culture. And thank you for it, man.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a real pleasure chatting to you. And yeah, I hope to be back soon, and maybe we could bring on someone from the tech team on from Mum as well to speak about.
Sure, man. Let me know whenever, man.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. See you around.
Bye, man.
Bye.
Okay, guys. Let me try to show you at least the Wild West one first of all, that the guys did for YETH, because I think it was really one of the funniest ones. So just a second, guys, just a second. Here it is. When I saw this one, I told myself, like, they've reached a new level when they did this one a few months ago. Just a second. Just a second, guys.
Come here, you little danger!
Yeah. Anon? Yeah. Here, I'll take you to the real yield. Come with me. All right.
land is this, sir?
Your land.